G'day fellas, in this video we're going to be taking a look at the Aztec Fast Fortress. So ever since I posted the most recent Aztec video, a lot of requests have come in to cover more Aztec strategies, so this is the second one I'll be covering on the channel. It is the Aztec Fast Fortress. But before we do get into the video, just a friendly reminder, we are currently live over on Twitch if this video has been uploaded in the last 5 hours, so make sure you head over there, say g'day, and I'll see you over there. Otherwise, enjoy the vid. So essentially the idea is we want to get 10 warrior priests. Then, once we've got our 10 warrior priests, we're going to be XP dancing, and we're going to be shipping in all the resources that we need to reach the third age. Now, one of the super crazy things about this strategy is that by the time you hit the third age, you're going to have so many shipments, you're not going to know what to do with them. So there's a few different options that you can go with. In this game, you'll see the more greedy option, which is the option that I do. And so essentially, that's just basically going for as many units as possible. Now, when I say greedy, it's greedy within regard to the fact that I'm not shipping unit shipments, I'm simply shipping resources, and with those resources, I'm building units. I could be going more greedy. I could be doing like shipping 1,000 wood, building TCs, or I could be going 8 villages. But in this regard, it's a bit more greedy just because I'm not shipping units, I'm shipping resources and then building units with those resources. But anyway, let's focus more on the early game. So in the beginning of the game, you're going to be primarily hunting for food treasures. Food treasures are what you want because they're going to help you get that extra fast age up time. Ideally, if you can age up with 14 settlers, you want to try and do that. If not, 15 is perfectly fine as well. In the early game, when you're microing the treasures, it's important to let your Eagle Scout get the last hit on any of the enemy guardians that you're going to be killing. That way you get double experience. As mentioned before, you want to be prioritizing food treasures, but if you do come across a treasure which has a guardian that you can actually convert, then it's probably best that you just take that as quickly as possible and get that back on recharge. It's going to be a lot easier for you to have a successful early game if you've got more conversions, because you can then leverage these conversions into a stronger age too. You can use them to scout, you can use them to siege, you can use them to attack forward villages. So the bigger army you can build up in the first stage, you're going to be able to transition that power over to the second age. With this strategy, a lot of people are expecting that the Aztec is going to be doing early aggression. And so by doing this strategy, you're kind of taking people off guard. Often you'll be up against somebody and they'll be thinking, all right, it's the Aztec, they're going to rush me, I need to play in base. And as a consequence, what happens is you get to sit in your base doing what you want. You control the tempo of the game as the Aztec player. So it's good for the surprise factor. The other really powerful thing is that by having 10 warrior priests at 5 minutes, it enables you to defend essentially any rush that someone throws at you. And that's because warrior priests are incredibly strong in melee. They do 15 base damage, and they also have a huge health pool. And because you've got 10 of them at 5 minutes, it means that you can defend cavalry raids, you can defend from any kind of rush that comes in. The only real issue that you've got is where there's light infantry, and your town center is going to be making short work of any light infantry that's underneath your town center. So once you're in transition, what you're going to be doing is keeping all of your villages on food. Ideally, you want to build up about 400 food, and then that way, as soon as you've reached the second age, you can move every single village up, except for maybe 1 or 2 which are out bringing in those hunts, and put them onto the community plaza so that they can begin dancing for warrior priests. So let's talk a little bit about the build order and the card order. So we start by sending 3 vills. The second shipment is 3 warrior priests. The third shipment is 700 wood. The fourth shipment, 5 vills. From there, we send 600 coin. Now, we can send 600 coin up to 3 times. It really depends how you want to play or what the matchup is. But for me, I like sending it about 3 or 4 times, depending on the matchup, just because I like to get a whole bunch of pumas out in the early game. I put pressure on the map with these pumas. These pumas are going to go siege trading posts, they're going to go siege shrines or torps or whatever it is that your opponent's building around the map. And they're also good for just holding off raids. So there can be instances where, let's say you're up against a Dutch player and you're probably not going to be leaving your base, they're probably not going to be leaving theirs. In that case, maybe you only want to send coin twice, but it never hurts just to make a handful of pikes just in case they do make hussars. So this is a build order that can be used in both team games and in 1 versus 1. Obviously, the Aztec have one of the strongest rushes in the game, but they also have quite a strong fast fortress when you combine it with the fact they've got 10 warrior priests that are sitting behind it, ready to power your fast fortress up to the next level. So this is a strategy that I've been seeing on ladder more recently. I've been seeing particularly people going for Eagle Runner Knights spamming the hell out of them, fully upgrading them, and just using the warrior priest to do the attack dance. So while your community plaza is spawning the warrior priest, it's important that you remember to manually move each warrior priest onto the fire pit. They will not go on automatically. Even if you task them onto the fire pit, they will not do it automatically. You need to listen for that sound cue. When you hear that sound cue, you come back to your base, you move your warrior priest onto the fire pit. You also want to make sure that when your 3 warrior priests arrive from the town center, even if you right-click them onto the fire pit, they will not go on unless you actually move them on manually. It's frustrating, but it's just the way that the game is. At roughly 5 minutes, you should be coming up on 9 or 10 warrior priests. It will depend on your age up time. Now in this game, because I didn't get that 14 villager age up, I wasn't able to do it. But in the event that you find, say, an 80 food treasure, and you also get that 14 villager idoless age up, you're going to find it very easy to be doing 10 warrior priests at 5 minutes on the dot. It's going to make you incredibly quick for the rest of the game. So when your 700 wood arrives, what you're going to be doing is putting down your war hut, as well as a couple of houses and a market. With the market, you're going to be researching hunting dogs. It's not imperative that you get placer mines. In fact, I would encourage you to avoid getting placer mines, at least until maybe 16, 17 minutes into the game, when you actually start mining coin. But for most of the early game, you're going to be getting your coin from shipments, from the 600 coin shipment as well as the 900 coin infinite shipment. Normally when you're placing your war hut, it's best to do so behind your TC or very close to your town center. You need to appreciate that because you're sending your 700 wood after your 3 warrior priests, you're going to be a lot slower to get up your war hut, which means you need to respect the opponent more, because if you go and put that war hut somewhere forward or even in front of your base, it's going to leave it vulnerable because you're not going to have any units out to protect it. Now keep in mind there are exceptions to this. As an example, in the game that I'm playing right now, it's a team game. We've scouted the enemy quite relentlessly and we can see that they're not forwarding on us, which means I'm satisfied that I can place my war hut in front of my base and that it's not going to be threatened. In a 1 versus 1 game at this point, I'd be sending coin instead of team 3 settlers, but because it is that team game, those 9 settlers are a lot more valuable. But as I said, in a 1 versus 1 situation, what you'd be doing is sending the 600 coin. I'm keeping the majority of my settlers on food and the rest of them on coin. In this situation, it's important that we're not gathering any wood because we don't need any wood. Our 700 wood provided us all the wood that we need. So with the Pumas, I'm going to begin putting pressure out onto the map. As I mentioned earlier, that means burning down trade posts, that means defending raids, that means killing Japanese shrines or killing Swedish torps. So when you're aging up to the 3rd age, it's important that you age up with the chief. The chief is going to be providing your explorer a lot more hit points, and your explorer is going to be a key to this strategy and is part of why this strategy is so damn strong. But we'll talk more about that later in the video. Once you've begun aging up to the 3rd age, it's important that you redistribute your villages so that you're focusing more on wood. Once you age up, you're going to be needing to get noble huts up so that you can begin training eagle runner knights or arrow knights. During the transition in 1 versus 1, it's important that you continue making units, whether that be maces, whether that be spears. Doesn't really matter what it is, it's just important that you continue making units and that you begin building towards your mass. Then once you're up to the 3rd age, you can ship 900 coin and then just follow it up with unit shipment after unit shipment after unit shipment. When you get into your first fight, what you're going to be doing is leading with your explorer. Ideally, you want to try and snare with your explorer and then get him into cover mode. When your explorer is in cover mode, what it's going to do is reduce the amount of damage that he takes from ranged sources by 50%, essentially extending his life by double. So it's really, really important that you remember to keep your explorer in cover mode. By taking the chief as your age up politician to the 3rd age, it's also going to further increase your health pool, so now you've got an absolutely whopping 1400 health on your explorer. It's important that when you do take fights that you make sure you change over your fire pit from experience dance over to attack dance. This is going to give you a significant increase for your eagle runner knights and any of your other units and make them a lot more potent in battle. So when it comes to your late game composition for your army, essentially what you're going to be wanting to do is go Eagle Runner Knight and Eagle Runner Knight and then add in more Eagle Runner Knight. Really, this unit is absolutely amazing. It can just take out absolutely everything. The only thing it really doesn't trade effectively with is the Caçador from the Portuguese. Other than that, it's going to be trading incredibly effectively with every other unit in the game. Maybe the Carolian, I hadn't thought about that. The Carolian is, you know, he's a pretty buff guy, especially in the late game with that 30% card, so maybe don't try it against the Carolian, but then, I mean, what else are you going to be building against the Carolian? I think you just go Eagle Runner Knight. But that's probably a tough matchup once it reaches the 4th age. Anyway, I'm rambling on at this point, fellas, so I hope that you've enjoyed the video, and I hope it's provided you a little bit of insight into this strategy. If you've got any questions, leave them down in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video, I encourage you to leave a like. Other than that, thank you for watching.